I just finished 75 days straight of posting on YouTube, and I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that consistency was the key, because for me, it wasn't. What I learned hit way deeper than that, and today I'm gonna break it down for you. So what was this challenge? I committed to 75 days of posting straight on YouTube. No breaks, no excuses, just posting and see what happens. But to really measure my growth, I tracked 3 different platforms. That's YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. For YouTube, I started off with 262 subscribers and about 90 watch hours. For TikTok, I started off with about 159 followers and averaging roughly about 248 views. And for Instagram, I started off with about 192 followers and averaging about 158 views. Now, here's where I ended up after 75 days. For YouTube, I ended up with 328 subscribers and 152 watch hours. That's 66 subscribers and 62 more watch hours than I started off with just 2 months ago. No ads, no viral spikes, just pure organic growth. For TikTok, I ended up with 270 followers and I started averaging about 300 views. That's 111 new followers. Mind blowing. I saw an increase in reach, and most importantly, I stayed visible. And last but not least, Instagram. I ended up with 198 followers and I averaged about 190 views. Now, for Instagram, I was the most stagnant, but I feel like even a little increase is better than none. So was it viral? No. But did I grow? Absolutely. And I grew not only in numbers, I grew in clarity, in confidence, and in discipline. And I'm going to get into that. Let's break down what I actually learned, because this wasn't just a content challenge for me. This was a mindset shift. Let's get into personal development. Now, this is where the real growth happened at for me. This challenge was not just about being consistent, but it was about being disciplined. I know that we yap about consistency all the time, but the real root is discipline, and then everything else blossoms from that. Of course, the first one is going to be consistency. Once discipline kicked in, it was easy to just show up even when I didn't want to. The next thing that discipline unlocked for me was creating a habit. Posting became a habit. Editing, uploading, checking comments, it all kind of formed into this one big routine. The next thing that discipline unlocked for me was commitment. I said I was going to do 75 days, and if I was not disciplined, I would have not been able to commit to 75 days. The next thing that discipline unlocked for me was focus and prioritization. I had to cut the fluff. I had to learn what I needed to prioritize and what I needed to set my focus on so that I can get things done in a timely manner. And speaking of timely manner, the next thing that discipline unlocked for me was time management. Making time for content on a daily basis on top of everything else I had going on, that required to be more intentional about my time management. I usually have good time management as it is anyway, but to try to commit to something else like this required excellent time management. The next thing that discipline unlocked for me was structure. There is no way that I could have done this without some sort of structure, without some sort of guideline or some sort of rules to follow. And the last thing that discipline unlocked for me was self-control. I had to get past the feelings of wanting to quit and throwing the towel in just because I didn't get something done at the right time or the time that I would have liked to. And so I felt like that came with self-control. Now, outside of discipline, I've learned that connecting with people is very important. It's not about just posting your stuff and hoping that people will follow and comment and share and subscribe and all the things, right? But it's also about engaging back with those people. We want to create a community and not just an audience. And the last thing under personal development will be being authentically me, not trying to mimic anybody else. And I think that it's okay to kind of learn from other people and see what works for them, but all of that needs to come back to authentically being you. How can you take what this person is doing, this person is doing, this person is doing, and make it you, make it something that is your brand. Now let's talk about what I learned on YouTube. First of all, titles and thumbnails. I know everybody talks about this, but it is so important that we know titles and thumbnails are key. People are not going to watch your videos if you can't even get them to click on it. And so for me, every video, especially the long form videos, I try to make sure that I really dove into what attracts people the fonts, the colors, the pictures, things like that. And while I still have very much growth to do, I think that I can see the growth from the time that I started this challenge until the last video of the challenge. The thing that helped me the most is going to YouTube and doing research. I found people that were doing videos similar to mine, and I wanted to see, especially for the people who had a lot of views, I wanted to see what their thumbnails look like, what their titles look like, and kind of try to mimic those to see if I can get more engagement or get more people to actually click on the video. The next thing is going to be low edit content. Because of this challenge, I really wanted to stick to having content that required me to do lower editing. Now that I'm not in the challenge, I will try to put more effort into editing and learning different editing styles. But for this type of thing where you're posting every single day, whether it be for a week, whether it be for 30 days, whether it be for 75 days, I think low editing is the way to go. The next thing is that short form brings reach, but long form brings depth. And what I mean by that is short form is going to bring you that visibility, whereas long form is going to help you get monetized. And you may be asking, how do I know how long to do videos? I would suggest about 8 to 15 minutes. Honestly, YouTube doesn't even monetize anything less than 8 minutes anyway. And so like once you get to your monetization mark, you want to make sure that videos are counting towards monetization. So try to keep it at least at 8 minutes. You can do more than that as well, but you want to make sure that you're getting to your monetization. The next thing is that upload time and SEO are not optional. The algorithm looks at everything. It looks at tags, it looks at titles, it looks at thumbnails, it looks at the thing or listens to the things that you say. All of that counts towards SEO, and then also learning when your people are the most active. Now for me, I cannot see that yet on YouTube, but for TikTok and Instagram, I can see those things. And so that I kind of just tried to take those two and put them together and figure out when my audience was most available on YouTube. And last but not least is to find your format and your flow. Again, you do not have to copy anybody else. You want to be authentically you, learn your style, learn if you want to do vlogging or commentary or educational. For me personally, I chose this time to figure out what I was the most comfortable with and what my audience gravitated to the most. So where am I now? I am more disciplined. I know what works for me. And I feel like overall, I know how I want to show up. I'm not chasing viral. I'm just trying to build something brick by brick and focus on being authentically me and hoping that that will bring the audience and the community that I so desire. And if you're watching this and you want to do a challenge like this, do it. You'll grow, and more than just in numbers, and a version of you that you always wanted to be that maybe you didn't even know that you want it to be. Again, if you're thinking about doing a 75 hard challenge such as this, YouTube, social media, things like that, I encourage you to do it. This is your sign, but don't just be posting to post. Make sure that you are posting with intent and authentically being you so that you can build not only an audience, but a community. If this has helped you in any kind of way, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. It would help me more than you would ever know. Until next time.